Merry Christmas, folks. I'm Mike Freeman. Welcome to the channel that's all about cooking in the great outdoors, no matter what the weather. In this episode, I'm going to show you my twist on a classic American comfort food that actually has origins going back to the Roman Empire. The mozzarella bacon bomb, today on Fat Mike's Pit. Meatloaf. It's been a frequent centerpiece of American dinner tables for generations. Many people think that the meatloaf was the invention of thrifty housewives during the Great Depression, but who would have guessed that the idea of mixing meat with tenderizing filler traces back to the Roman Empire? The Roman cookbook Apicius featured a recipe for patties made of chopped meat, bread, pine nuts, spices, and wine. Medieval Europe served it mixed with fruits, nuts, and seasonings. Some early German recipes called for boiled eggs hidden inside the loaf. It could be served hot, sometimes wrapped in ham, or served cold with sauces. Regardless, meatloaf showed us how much potential we have for the reinvention of food with its endless adaptability. However, the task of finely chopping meat to the consistency that is needed to make a meatloaf remained tedious and time-consuming until the invention of the meat grinder in late 19th century America. This invention inspired the classic American meatloaf. The meatloaf's popularity increased during the Great Depression as it was cheap to make, and new developments in food manufacturing made it possible to add mix-ins such as mustard and bouillon while keeping the dish inexpensive. During World War II, rationing made meat to be in short supply. The ingredient stretching attribute of meatloaf made it a popular dish, and its incredible adaptability afforded American housewives the ability to create endless meals with meatloaf as the centerpiece. There were even meatless versions of this dish, which I'm sure will delight any lettuce lovers we may have as fans. Don't get your hopes up though, we're not planning on making any meatless loaves here at the pit anytime soon. Sorry. Post-war creativity produced some unusual variations on the classic meatloaf, such as bacon dill meatloaf and spicy peach loaf, as seen in 1955's edition of the Good Housekeeping Cookbook. In the 1970s and 80s, veal, pork, and beef meatloaf mix came into vogue, elevating the dish to dinner party-worthy status. In the 1990s, restaurateurs marketed upscale versions, and today innovations continue as loaves are stuffed, wrapped, or laced with international flavors. Now that you've had a bite of the history of meatloaf, let's fire up the pit, and I'll show you my tongue-popping version of this all-American classic that is the culinary epitome of a mother's love. Welcome to the pit. Today we're going to make us up a mozzarella bacon bomb, and it's really easy. If you can make hamburgers, you can do this. The first thing you're going to need is the meat. Here I've got a couple of pounds of ground chuck, a pound of ground pork, and a pound of Italian sausage. We're going to set this aside for a moment because we got something else that needs tended to. Alright, here we've got about 1.5 cups of plain old breadcrumbs. Now we're going to pour these out into a bowl containing about 1 cup of milk. Mix this up well. We want the crumbs to form into a paste. That way it will retain moisture in our bomb instead of sucking it out of the meat. Just so you know, this mixture is called a panade. Don't worry, that ain't going to be on the test. Okay, that's going to need to sit for a few minutes. While our panade is setting up, let's get the rest of our mixture done up. We're going to start with our meat. To that, we're going to add 4 eggs, a couple tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, some paprika, a little salt, some oregano, thyme, and a little black pepper. Here we've got about 2 cups of fried onions that I made up earlier. All you got to do is dice up some onions and saute them in butter and olive oil until they're this nice golden color. Now, let's add those breadcrumbs we've had soaking in milk. Alright, let's mix this up. Here's the thing. You want to be careful not to mix it up too much, and you don't want to squeeze everything together too tightly. Now I do this by keeping my fingers spread apart while I mix everything together. Once everything is well mixed, stop. Don't mix any longer. Now, we're going to take about half of this mixture and spread it out on a cookie sheet that's been greased up with some cooking spray. You might remember this as the griddle top we used in the onion burgers video. Take the time to gently form it into a fairly neat shape. This will be the base of our bomb. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Here we've got some bacon, about a ½ pound. I've already partially cooked this on the grill so it would be ready to load inside of our bomb. We're going to spread this bacon out right down the middle of the base, like so. Let's put on some slices of mozzarella cheese. Run a row down the middle, right on top of that bacon. Now let's spread out some more of that bacon on top of the cheese. After that, stack up some more mozzarella. Add the rest of your bacon. And finally, another layer of mozzarella. By the time you're done, you'll have used about 8 ounces of cheese. Feel free to use more if you like. Just make sure you leave about a ½ inch of meat showing around the edges so we can get it sealed up and hold that cheese in there. Okay, now let's take the rest of this meat mixture and form it around the bacon and cheese. Pat it down gently and keep forming it until you have one solid mass. You shouldn't be able to easily tell where the 2 halves come together. Let's get this monster over to the grill, because I'm getting hungry. We want to have a little bit of smoky flavor, so I'm going to set a packet of hickory chips on top of the grate, right above the coals. Let's get this bomb onto our preheated grill. On cold days like today, this old grill don't like to get above 250 degrees. At that temperature, and considering the fact that it's a little under 35 degrees out here, it'll take about 3.5 to 4 hours to get this cooked. That's okay though, ain't nothing wrong with low and slow. Now close up the lid and come back in about an hour. While we're waiting, let's mix us up a glaze to baste on this bomb while it's cooking. Here we've got some minced garlic. To that we'll add a little ketchup, some Worcestershire sauce, a bit of red wine vinegar, about a ½ cup of brown sugar, and a pinch of cayenne and a pinch of salt. Whisk this together really well and we'll have a nice sweet glaze to brush on that bomb while it's cooking. Okay, we're an hour into the cook and this is coming along real nice. Let's paint this bomb with that nice sweet glaze we made. Now we'll close up the lid and come back in another hour. 2 hours in now, and this is starting to look absolutely awesome. You can see that we've got a bit leaking out. This is normal. It's a mixture of fat from the meat and oil from the cheese that has seeped through. We're not going to lose much of that delicious mozzarella during the cook. Brush on another coat of glaze. Don't forget to turn the pan so we can cook our bomb evenly. I'll repeat this at least one more time before it's ready to come off, but you don't need to see that. I think you've got the idea of what's going on with this. After 3.5 hours, this bomb is ready to blow. Look at that glaze. It's caramelized beautifully and taken on that hickory smoke, just like we wanted it to. I'm going to get this off the grill and let you see what it looks like inside. Looky there, we got that nice, moist and meaty loaf cradled around a center of delicious mozzarella and smoky bacon. You can see that there's a nice crust around the outside and that lovely pink smoke ring running around the edge. How about we make us up a nice sandwich with some Italian bread? Sound good? Or maybe serve with some roasted red potatoes and asparagus on the side. Yeah, baby. I'm dying to take me a bite of this. Whoo! Moist, meaty, just a hint of that hickory smoke, and that leaves only one thing left to say.
So remember, the next time you want to create a masterpiece in your backyard, come see what's possible at Fat Mike's Pit.